Good morning, Active Agers. I'm Jean Green, and I represent St. Joseph Lincoln Senior Center in beautiful St. Joseph, Michigan. Thank you for joining me today. This is going to be a class to challenge your balance. We will be going from the least amount of challenge to your balance to the most. It's progression and also different small pieces of equipment, types of seating that you might need. So if you need a moment, just shut off the camera, put it on pause, go grab what you need, and then come on back. So this will be a taste and an introduction. When our senior center does get the okay to reopen, we hope to offer this class weekly, and then we'll be able to continue to improve on the balance skills. So the first thing we want to talk about is, hopefully your start today was great and we'll keep getting better, and then the start to the new year, same. I would like to just work on the easiest way to sit is in a very supportive chair, not a couch or a lazy boy where your posture slouches and gets really comfortable and squishes down into cushions, kind of like Mama Bear in the Goldilocks story. So as often as you can throughout the day, practice sitting in a supportive surface. Seated is our most stable surface other than lying down. So when you're seated, we have a large base of support. When we're standing, we have a very narrow base of support, and it gets even more narrow when we bring our feet standing together, knees together, thighs together. So that's part of the progression. So easiest way to sit and practice your posture, which is the most important thing in your balance, because we're going to make sure that our center of gravity and our center of mass, working with gravity, is able to move and also stay still. So we're going to do stationary things before we do mobility. So armrests on a chair are really helpful. It also helps our emotions because our mind is going to tell us that something might be a little uncomfortable to the point of scary. So I feel like we can move and we can practice balance forward and backward in such a safe, secure area. So we have a wide variety of people watching this video. Some of you will need to stay seated the entire time with a very supportive chair, armrests, back support. So to progress from here, we're going to talk about two things first. Where your eyes go, your mind goes. So if you are looking down, that's what's going to happen. You're going to fall down. You're going to think that you're going to fall down any moment. So we really always want to direct our attention to looking ahead or even a little bit up. So when I'm looking up, I look at about 5 feet, maybe 6 feet. That automatically helps improve your posture. The other thing you want to do is there's a lot of scientific research about our tongue. And the tongue is one of the strongest muscles in our body in proportion to its size. Believe me, mine gets a workout from talking a lot. So it's the one and only muscle in our body that does not have two attachments. Every other muscle in our body has an attachment where it starts and an attachment where it ends, such as our bicep muscle. There's 2 points where it's stuck to a bone, usually crossing a joint. The tongue only has one attachment in your throat. So we have to purposely find an attachment for our tongue. So to help your posture, even when you're sitting or doing something where you don't think you need to work on your posture, try it. You're going to take the tip of your tongue and you're going to place it on the roof of your mouth, just behind your 2 front teeth, and just rest the tip of your tongue there. And when you're working on your balance, you can press it firm or light. So we have to think before we move, and we have to keep our emotions in control. So taking a deep breath also relaxes you so then you can think. So whenever you're starting to get tired, a little more uncomfortable, fearful, nervous, you might want to back off, take a deep breath, let it in and then all the way out. Remind yourself where your tongue is placed so it can help your balance. and then where your vision is placed. So we're working on postural control, and it's not as easy as it sounds. So the wider the base of support sitting, so I went from sitting all the way back into the chair. Now I'm going to sit on the edge of the chair. I've taken off a lot of leg support. So this is already more difficult than sitting all the way back into the chair. Practicing unsupported posture seated. Let's try anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds for some of us, or 30 seconds. So we'll start the 30 seconds. Take a deep breath in and out. And 30 seconds. Those of you who are doing really well at this, close your eyes for 20 more seconds. Gently blink your eyelids open, and this is where your mind is only one thing to do, and that's to think about your balance. So if you have any distractions in your room, a radio, a TV, someone talking, anything that's distracting you, even a visual, stop and pause and go remove it as best as you can. I'm going to move to a very unsupported to the most unsupported. So from the chair, if you're ready, we're going to take it to no arms and a smaller seat on my chair. So now that I have unsupported seat, I can move in a lot of different directions. We're not even getting ready to stand yet. All we're going to try to do is transfer and kind of wiggle a little bit forward and maybe a little bit backwards. So now we went from sitting still to adding some mobility to our seated balance. So anytime you're sitting still and you have a chair you can scooch forward and backward in, remember, it's as if you're holding a book on top of your head and you don't want it to fall down. So practice your posture while you're seated and while you added mobility. Okay? So let's find a sweet spot. I like to sit with my tailbone close to the edge of the chair, but still plenty support on my sit bones and tailbones. Roll those shoulders back if you're starting to get anxious and lifting your shoulders. Exhale, let them come on down. Let's just start stretching. Reach those arms all the way up. Next part of balance is when we reach our arms above our chest, shoulders, we can start to lose balance. So one arm at a time. Slightly easier for balance, then both arms. And while we're seated, we're going to use these arms to practice balance in all different directions. So those of you who first are working on more balance seated, try turning your head as if you're backing out of the car. So you're going to turn, I'll do the mirror image, turn your chin to the right and look over your shoulder and twist a little bit. Make sure you slowly unwind, untwist, and look center again. Then practice doing it to the second side. So over your left shoulder, twist your torso just a little bit, and then back to center. Let's do that 4 times per side, alternating. Please breathe. Smiling always makes it feel better. You can go slower or faster. If you're getting dizzy, you're going to stop. Seated posture unsupported. If you're getting tired, scooch back and use a little bit more support on your spine. All right, if you're seated in a chair with armrests, feel free to use those armrests anytime you need to. Try not to use them if you don't need to. So now that we've worked on moving and twisting and seated, let's move the arms. So we're not going to stand yet, but reaching one arm forward or the other is also going to challenge our balance. So both arms forward makes us use those back muscles nice and strong. So decide whether you need back support from the chair or not. I like to do thumbs up or palms up, stretches out my shoulders. Now we're gonna reach in lots of different directions. Someone's gonna hand you something. So you're gonna practice reaching as far forward as you can and then bring yourself back upright. Let's say someone's coming close to you and you don't want them to come close. You're gonna lean back. So the easiest start of mobility with our seated balance is feet are apart, about as wide as your chair legs. And we're reaching forward as far as we can reach. Remember, gaze upward, not downward, and then reaching back. You can pause at any time, reaching forward, holding it a little longer, and tipping back, holding it a little longer. And just like we reached our chin and our gaze to the sides, we'll do the same thing with our arms. So I'm going to reach my right arm and look over my right shoulder, bring it back to center, looking upward towards the back. Good. Keep your eyes looking upward even when you twist. So we can do one arm or both at a time. Again, let's try 4 times per side. Please pick the speed that's safe for your spine and your neck. Follow your gaze to your thumbs or above your fingertips. Taking your time if I'm going too fast. Alrighty, so now we're going to get just crazy with those arms. We want to reach in all different directions. So we're going to reach up, one arm, and then over. We're going to reach in all different directions. So we need active range of motion to challenge our balance in our most stable position, which is seated. So we're going to take 30 seconds crossing the arms over at chest level, above the head, and then also down below the waist. So our 30 seconds will start now. Move around in any space you can reach. Imagine you're flying, swatting bugs away. And I might be distracting, so you may have to pick a different focal point just for another 10 seconds. Alrighty, so with the feet apart, it's most comfortable and it's also most safe on your low back. The only way you can make this progression more difficult is to close those knees together, zip up the inner thighs all the way down to the ankles and practice that, but we're going to move on. The next thing we want to practice is from a supported seated chair, standing. So the most difficult way to stand from a seated position is with our feet together. So let's take them apart, hip distance, or what we call about the distance of 2 chair legs. We will use the chair arms for the first few practices. The goal is to stand and sit without the help of our arms. And you're going to imagine there is a book on top of your head, and your gaze is forward, slightly up, and you're going to be able to do this. So some of us need feet a little wider apart for more stability or a wider base of support. So make sure you know exactly how far you are. Take a look at your chair. Some of you will practice immediately standing with no support and arms crossed over your chest. Seated, no support from the arms or help. And we went from stationary to mobility. Progression is, if we back off just a little bit, we might need to use both arms to help us stand, and we might need both arms to help us sit. We might need one arm to help us sit, and no arms to help us stand. Practice both sides, not just your favorite side. You might be able to do the standing without the arms and only need the arms for seated. Okay? If you have leg issues, knee pain, or problems, standing, and then maybe no help seated. So we're going to do 30 seconds. Some of you are not going to stand completely up. You're just going to shift forward as if you're going to stand and work on a tiny little bit of balance, feeling your heels dig into the ground. Even if you're using your arms, maybe one arm or both. There's also people in this class that are going to go standing and sitting, no support. If you want to challenge this a little more, you might want to turn and look backwards and sit down. Turn, maybe look backwards, then sit down. So change your gaze. Remember where your tongue is. Remember where your thoughts are. If you're not thinking about balance, please bring your thoughts back to thinking about balance. Those of you who are getting very good at sit to stand without the use of your arms, bring your legs as close together. Maybe your knees and thighs are zipped together. This also gets you warm, gets our heart rate lifting. And we're going to do this 10 more seconds. If you need help with balance, arms out is easier, a little less challenge on the balance than a narrow base of crossed arms on your chest. So we're learning about balance, posture, not just practicing some of it. So we are now finished. Take a deep breath, shake things out. I want everybody to sit and try to reach as far as they can sideways. So our sideways muscles need to be strong. So just as if we were reaching forward, and then use your abdominals, reaching back. Let's go sideways, left and right. So let's take 10 seconds to just practice all 4 of these motions. And you can mix it up. Maybe you're going to go forward, left, and then forward right, and then backwards, and then left or right. All right, take a deep breath in. And at any time you can pause this video and keep practicing the skill that is being presented. You don't have to keep up with me and do this video in its entire 30 minutes. You need to pick and choose the parts that you're ready to stay working on. All righty, so now we're going to sit to stand and stay standing. However, I'm going to show you one thing, and that is there's plenty of other surfaces you can sit on that give you less support. This is not a wide base, and I'm on a little stool, and now I have to practice any kind of motion in any direction, and it's going to be a little more scarier. So do what you need to do. Maybe you need a wall or a person behind you to practice this. Maybe you need to set a stool like this in the corners of a room. So if you happen to lose your balance, you have a wall to touch to each side of you, and then the corner of the wall you will actually touch if you start to lose your balance. So again, it's a progression to going from a wider seat to a nice narrow seat. The largest progression is to sit on a moving object. My favorite piece of equipment is the ball. It's got so many good uses. But for those of you who want to progress in seated, try sitting on a moving object. Again, a little bit helpful as you reach out. You're going to notice a difference between the security of a chair or a small stool and leaning back. Again, we are progressing in challenge and the intensity of keeping our balance. So be very careful. It is your choice to progress to something that will move you into a balanced challenge without overloading it too much. So let's play with our thinking, make sure we're secure to just come to the edge of feeling like you can still keep your balance without losing it, but not too easy. And then also, where's your tongue and where's your gaze? Seated on a moving object with your feet, knees, and thighs together is more difficult, again, than a wider base of support. So if you're seated on a moving object, you might start with the feet wide to help you get used to it and then progress to more of a narrow base. So again, posture will immediately improve when you're sitting on a moving object. So we're going to progress to standing now. I don't suggest that you take a moving object like the ball and try to sit down on a moving object. Only stand up from a moving object. So I'm going to move this out of the way for just a moment. We're going to use two objects while we're standing. They can be considered our security blankets. You may or may not need them, but they're here just in case. We've set up two walls. And now we're going to work on our standing balance. So the first thing we want to go back to is feet comfortably apart, hip distance, and standing with our eyes open. And we're going to practice for 30 seconds. Think of your posture, think of your tongue, think of your wide open eye gaze for 10 seconds before we try closing our eyes. If you're ready, close your eyelids. You can use your chairs to help you, holding on to each one. With your eyes closed, you can cross your arms over your chest or reach them out like airplane wings. We have about 15 more seconds. Breathe. And open your eyelids. Give yourself a rest break for a moment. Hold the chairs if you need to. Take a look down, take a look up. So again, if we raise our arms overhead, it will challenge our balance significantly. So let's just reach halfway up. One arm or both arms. One arm down is fine, or against your side or hip. Both arms. Let's turn thumbs up or palms up. And again, just like we did in the chair, let's practice some different movements. Maybe one arm reaches up at a time, or reaches out. Or one arm reaches back to our left, like we're backing out of the car, or reaches back to our right. Maybe both arms reach back. And then one of my favorite ways to practice balance, reaching forward and reaching back when I'm standing, is that I put something behind me that will not move, and I put something in front of me that will not move. I have a spot in my kitchen where there's a kitchen counter in front of me and a kitchen counter behind me. And I just practice that uncomfortable feeling of reaching forward with the help of a chair. And again, alternate sides. Or not, and reach forward. So you can't reach any farther forward or you are on your toes only and you know you're going to start to fall forward. And then we'll repeat the same thing, slightly tipping backwards. Feel your heels tipping backwards. Feel your toes get lighter on the ground. Maybe you tip backwards as you have to turn a little bit. And we're challenging our standing balance. Going backwards is difficult. Maybe our hips bend and tip a little bit. So we're going to practice those postures, standing, reaching forward, and especially reaching backwards in a safe environment. Again, set your environment up for success. Where's your tongue? Alrighty. We're going to move to the next posture. I want to get to this standing posture because climbing stairs walking uphill is so important. So if you're standing and you want to keep working on this, otherwise, have a seat. If you need a break, I'll be right back. If you have a step stool, this happens to be a bucket of sanitizer, hand sanitizer wipes. Anything, make sure it will not move on you. So put it on a rubber mat. I like those mats that you put at the bottom of your bathtub, and then put something on it. It helps keep it from wiggling around. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is practice standing balance on one foot. Progression, progression. So first, posture. Where's your gaze? Where's your thoughts? And where is your tongue? Take a deep breath in and out. Let the body relax as you exhale. And then pick your favorite foot to stand on. Usually we lift our right foot first. Again, I'm your mirror image. And we're going to practice just lifting that foot and putting it on an object. We can stay here 3 seconds or 30 seconds or anywhere in between. For the sake of this video, we're just going to practice both sides. You can stop this video at any time and practice 30 seconds or less per side. Again, 3 seconds is a good time to shoot for. When you're standing, think of a strong hip. The next progression to this might be only one arm on the chair instead of both. I recommend the opposite arm, lifting, reaching, moving, or just fingertips on the supporting object. So if your left foot is up, try your right fingertips off of the object. Or both. And again, let's alternate. I like to do about 4 times per side. If this is going well, we're going to do it with the leg in the air for 3 seconds. Again, start with progression. Hold on. Count 1, 2, 3. And we would alternate this. 1, 2, 3. For up to about 4 times per side or more. Remember, as you get wigglier, wobblier, it might mean that your strength is telling you that your endurance will build, but to stop for now. So, if you get quicker and faster, we're adding more mobility. So that will be the goal. Quicker and faster. Again, some of us have just about run out of time for this video. We cannot fit it all in. But these are some things to practice throughout your day, not just in this 30-minute video. Take one skill that makes you a little nervous and uncomfortable and practice that skill. And no matter how well I think my balance is, this is the skill where I hold my leg in the air with no support for my arm. I'm on a very narrow base of support, and if I can hold it here 3 seconds or up to 30 seconds, that's my goal. And I practice this myself at least once a day. So thank you for joining me today and learning about the progressions of balance and getting a taste of practicing the progression of balance. And be mindful throughout your movements. And stay safe and happy in our new year. Thanks again.